Hello there guys and welcome, it is Niran here and today it is time for me to bring you episode number 8 of our Wigan Athletic Road to Glory series here on FIFA 16 career mode. And today we've got another 5 games for you, as is always the case. 2 will be played, 3 will be sim. The 2 games we're playing are away against Southend, who sits second in the league in League 1. In the 4th game of today's episode we'll also be playing that against Southampton away from home in the Capital One Cup quarter-finals. We have the opportunity to get into the semi-finals of the Capital One Cup. Incredible scenes. Nevertheless, in the background, you are seeing a squad report. I haven't shown one of these in quite some time. Will Griggs up to 68 since you last saw this, I think, and Mikel Dooland is at 70 since you last saw a squad report. Some good growth for some other players as well. Max Power is up 2 now. Sam Morsey's up 2 as well, so that's another 70 overall player. We've now got Pierce and Barnett, who also went up in this month. Kapuska, you see there, Dooland, Morsey are all 70 overall or above, so it's looking pretty damn good. Reece James is now up to a 70 overall as well. He's gone up by 2 so far this season. Vilcher is up 1 to 67 as well, as you saw a moment ago. Then some of the players out on loan: McNaughton, Robles, who's gone up 2, Emir Hughes, who's gone up 2. Then we've got Adam Anson, Flores as well, who's gone up 2 whilst out on loan to Chesterfield. And one of the players you just saw there, Emir Hughes. You guys, since the start of this series, have been asking me to bring Emir Hughes back from his loan at Huddersfield. He's 70 overall, central midfielder, and today, finally, I'm listening. Well, I was listening before, but today, finally, we've decided to actually go ahead and bring him back from his loan. He's a very good player. His wages were a little bit high, that's why I wasn't overly confident on bringing him back, but we actually do have the funds in the end, so we decided to bring him back after a hashtag was created last episode. So clearly I've got to bring him back. That's just decided for me. So Emir Hughes is back in the squad, and he'll be playing the first game of today's episode against Southend, and it's a battle of the 2 strengths. Southend have the best defence in the league, whilst we have the best attack in the league. We've scored 37 goals this season in the league, whereas Southend have conceded only 14 in League 1 so far this season. There is our starting 11. Reece James, for the first time, I think ever, in terms of played games, isn't starting this one. Daniels, Barnett, Pearson, Borthwick, Jackson across the back 4, and Hughes as well as Vučkić are into the side, as well as Chow. Vučkić, they're trying an overhead kick. That would have been a very impressive effort after 19 minutes. Vučkić now finding Emir Hughes, the new boy of this save. He's going to unleash a strike. It's deflected and into the top corner. And Emir Hughes, just 21 minutes into his series debut for Wigan, has given us a 1-0 lead. It's a top 2 clash, another vital clash like the Peterborough one from a few episodes back. And this time it is Emir Hughes who has given us the lead, the Welsh international. It's to be fair, it is deflected, but it looks beautiful nonetheless. Southend, though, going forward with Timlin almost finding the bottom corner. Thankfully, though, it flashes just past Jussi Jääskeläinen's net. Southend not giving up, though, on this one, and Jääskeläinen called into action yet again. Haris Vučkić, though, has been a bit of a nuisance so far in this game. He's sprinting down the right-hand side. He's got away from the 2 Southend defenders. He's now cut inside again. This is a very long run, low on stamina, though, and it shows, really, from the finish, because it's a pretty damn weak finish in the end. Vučkić, though, combining very well with Donovan Daniels. Down the right-hand side, he'll see Will Grigg in the centre. Surely it's a goal for a man like Will Grigg, but he blasts it straight at the goalkeeper. But again, we're going forward, and again it's through Vučkić. Michael Jacobs finds him. He goes past his defender, and what a goal! That is what a finish. That is from Haris Vučkić. Look at this, the guy on loan from Newcastle. He's been sitting in the shadows, really, of Yannick Vilcher in this series so far. But what a goal that is. Absolutely astonishing stuff. Now just with 7 minutes to go, Vildozo down the left-hand side is causing all sorts of havoc for us. And Southend have a route back into this game. They've got a goal back and it's now 2-1. It's unfortunate actually on Pierce because he did really well to block the cross. But unfortunately Jääskeläinen's unable to clear it out on the second attempt. As you can see though, just a minute later, Emir Hughes has won the ball back again. He sees Conor McAleny off the bench and the young winger has restored our 2-goal lead just a minute after it was halved. Conor McAleny, we've not seen much of him. There's quite a few wingers starting to jump on the scene now. Vučkić, Odalusi, and also now McAleny as well. And yeah, so these guys starting to prove their salt, and McElhenney and Vucic both with goals. A bit of a scramble there towards the end of the game, but it would have only been a consolation for Southend. We win the game 3-1 after defending that 90th minute scramble in the box. As you can see, Emir Hughes gets man of the match. Unsurprisingly, he scored the first goal, but he was fantastic in general on his debut. Good ratings as well for Chow and Vucic, as well as Grigg and Doolan. McElhenney, of course, scored, but only came on in the 81st minute, so he still doesn't get a rating, unfortunately for him. But he knows that he got a goal. It was a very nice goal at that, at the near post. Nevertheless, moving on into training, and we've got a young goalkeeper being trained at the moment called Dino Zetterberg. He's just gone up to 51 overall. Him and Volden out the youth academy are being trained, but more noticeably, I suppose, or more notably, Mikael Dooland has just gone up to a 71 overall as well, and it looks like Kapuska could grow as well, and James Bree is being trained at the moment as well. Some good growth there in terms of attributes for all of the players. Actually, Zetterberg now close to 52, and Volden now close to 57. So the youth academy graduates, or players at the moment, are doing pretty well in training, and some of the first team players like Dooland and Kapuska, they've been growing really well so far as well. But good victory then in the first game of today's episode, away against Southend, 3-1 victory. Not too bad at all. Now though, it is time for the second game of today's episode, and it is a sim away against Portsmouth of League 2. They're in the division below us, so in theory we should be the favourites for this one. It's an away tie in the FA Cup. I do believe this is the first round of the FA Cup. The magic of the FA Cup could throw up a surprise though, obviously, if Portsmouth are feeling up to it. At half-time it's 0-0. Rashford's on for Dooland, and Jacobs is on for Vilcher. And actually in the 65th minute, Roberts, off the bench for Portsmouth, has given them the lead. But thankfully, a super sub of our own, Michael Jacobs, the central midfielder, off the bench, does equalise with only 7 minutes to go, which means it'll go to a replay at the DW Stadium. But not an ideal result, because obviously it's more fixture congestion, but not bad under the circumstances. Otherwise we could have been crashing out in the first round. Moving on though to the next game, and it's the third game of today's episode against Shrewsbury at home. But in the last game, Shrewsbury actually did very well. They're towards the bottom of the league, but their form is improving. They won 3-0 against Dagenham and Redbridge, so this may not be an easy task as we expect it to be. Jaskalainen in goal, Borthwick, Jackson, Barnett, Pearson, James at the back, Morsey, Hughes and Kapuska in the midfield, and then Vilcher, Grigg and Dooland up front. But coming towards the end of the first half, and it is still 0-0, and actually Yannick Vilcher has picked up a knock. We'll see if he goes off, and he does in fact go off for Michael Jacobs, who of course was a super sub in the Portsmouth game. But we're still with 15 minutes to go, and it's still 0-0, but thankfully another super sub, Haris Vucic, with 4 minutes to go. In the 86th minute, he came on for someone, he came on for Dooland, and he gives us the 1-0 win. So another win in League 1, another win in the league, still only one loss in the division so far. It's not looking too bad at all. Unfortunately, we did get an injury in that game, and it was Yannick Vilcher. But in better news, firstly, Vilcher's only out for 7 days, but John Sutar, after a long-term injury, he is finally back as well from his injury. Nevertheless, moving on to youth scouting, and as you can see, one of our youth scouts is preparing to go to the Netherlands, looking for a physically strong player for 3 months, and hopefully he will do the job there. We've got a few good youth academy players. The main one is Philip Volden, the man you've seen me train for quite some time. The defensive mid, he looks very good, but we'll see how that goes. Nevertheless, the next game in today's episode is against Southampton. In the Capital One Cup, we beat United and Liverpool to get here. Now we're in the quarters, the opportunity to get to the semi-finals of the Capital One Cup, and yet another BPL team stand in our way. This time we travel to the St Mary's Stadium to face Southampton. James Bree is into the side, Daniels is at the back with Pierce, Morsey, Power and Kapuska in midfield. Haris Vucic has to step in for the injured Yannick Vilcher, but other than that, it's basically unchanged. First chance of the game in the 32nd minute, after Southampton really controlled the game. Ward-Prowse finding Austin, but unfortunately for the England striker, he was unable to avoid hitting the post. But as you can see, Mikael Doolan with a free kick, and it's a great save from Kelvin Davis standing in the Southampton net. Very good save from the free kick. Southampton going forward again though at the end of the half, and James Ward-Prowse forcing a fairly simple save in the end for Jussi Jaskalainen at his near post. And even further into the first half, now into injury time, Mikael Dooland is bursting forward, getting away from the defenders and then trying to curl an effort into the top corner, but unfortunately is unable to do so. And that was actually literally the last action, of the first half. Moving into the second half though, and James Bree has been found here by Max Power. He's going to try and get the better of Ryan Bertrand, swing a ball into the box for Will Grigg, who hits the woodwork. He smacks the woodwork in the end. And surely it was shaking after that on the full-time volley. It was a wonderful ball in from James Bree. Moving into the 89th minute though, Autolaser is off the bench. Southampton are over-committing players forward. Autolaser is going past the Southampton defender. He's done so, surely it's a goal, but what a save it is from Kelvin Davis. The one-handed save from the resultant corner. It's into the box again. It's trying to be cleared away, but Autolaser's there. It's another wonderful save from Davis. It falls for John Sutar, but he's offside. And somehow we have not scored right at the end of normal time here. It looks as if it's going to go to extra time yet again. The last 3 rounds of the Capital One Cup have been decided for us in extra time, and it looks as if it's going to happen again. Autolaser's been played through by Will Grigg. The winger's played it back to Grigg, who's now one-on-one surely with the goalkeeper. He's brought down by Ryan Bertrand, and it's a penalty in the 97th minute of this game, and surely it's a red card for Ryan Bertrand. It's a clear goal-scoring opportunity that's been denied, but Bertrand only somehow gets a yellow card. It's still a penalty though, and Will Grigg will have to dust himself down and dispatch it, and he does. He sends Kelvin Davis the wrong way, and we lead again against Barclays Premier League opposition, and again it's in extra time. Kapuska and Doolan celebrate with our number 9, who's yet again bailed us out of jail. And Will Grigg goes big once more in the 100th minute. Now on the edge of half-time and extra time, Kapuska's found Emir Hughes off the bench. It's back to Autolaser. He's featured so much in this game. Can he get a goal? Yes, he can. And suddenly the game has changed completely. 2 goals in 5 minutes. Will Grigg from the penalty spot. And now Autolaser played forward by Emir Hughes after Doolan and Kapuska were involved in the move as well. It's a lovely finish from Autolaser, just slotting it past the Southampton goalkeeper at his near post. And we now lead 2-0 away from home in extra time, and that is how the game ends. We are through to the semi-finals of the Capital One Cup with yet another giant killing, the 3rd in a row. UC Askelainen gets man of the match. Autolaser as a substitute managed to get a 7.4, which says a lot itself. Kapuska, Emir Hughes and James Bree with good ratings as well, and Grigg and Doolan certainly played their part in that tie as well. So we're now into the semi-finals of the Capital One Cup. Not a bad effort whatsoever. Nevertheless, in the background, it's back to training. Dino Zetterberg, the only person to grow in the 3rd week of training for this episode. He's now up to 52, whilst Volden, Kapuska and Bree are also very close to going up again. As you can see now, the next bit of training, hopefully, they'll all go up, actually, apart from Doolan, and indeed they do. Kapuska moves up to 72, James Bree moves up to 63, Philip Volden moves up to 57, and Dino Zetterberg moves up to 53. So the young goalkeeper up to 53, the young defensive mid out of the youth academy up to 57, and some good growth for the senior players, James Bree and Kapuska as well. I suppose you can call them senior, but they're both teenagers still. Nevertheless, it's now time to move into the final game of today's episode, and it's a sim against Crewe Alexandra. Unfortunately, there was a lot of fatigue issues after that extra time match against Southampton, so a fairly weak team in this one. Andy Kellett coming back into the side. Morgan's in as well. Jacobs, Vucic, Rashford and Autolaser are all starting this one, and Brad Inman for Crewe Alexandra has given them the lead in the 7th minute. Right on the edge of half-time though, Harris Vucic again has scored in a sim in the 44th minute to equalise, but unfortunately we can't hold on for now. Haber has given Crewe Alexandra the lead back, and we do in fact slump to only our second loss, to be fair, of the season in the league, and it was to be expected really. It was a fairly weak team. Rashford in for Grigg, Autolaser and Vucic only starting. They're not as good as Dooland and Vilcher in terms of overall, therefore they're not as good in sims, so you know, it was to be expected. It's a disappointing result, but we still have a 10-point lead over Southend United, who we beat at the start of the episode in the league. Millwall there are 3rd on 38, then it's Sheffield United, Rochdale and Peterborough at least back up into the playoff spots after a shocker of an episode last time out. Down towards the bottom of the table, you'll see that in a moment, but it's still been a very, very good episode for ourselves. A big win against Southampton and some decent results as well in the league. There you can see Bury, Oldham, Crewe Alexandra actually beat us, so that's a good result for them, and Swindon Town are actually in the relegation zone. Just proves that anyone can beat anyone. A team second from bottom, or they would have been bottom at the time, can beat the leaders of the league. But I hope you've enjoyed today's episode of Wigan Road to Glory. If you did, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new around here as well, and comment about enjoying the video if you enjoyed it that much. But nevertheless, it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a good day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.
Nah, that's not me. Act like a waste man, that's not me. Sex in the girl, nah, that's not me. Lips in the girl, nah, that's not me. Yeah.